Hey folks, it's us, podcasting wonderkins John Bishop and Lucas Southworth.
Although this is a podcast about cars, it is not age appropriate for the target demographic of these films, as we usually end up talking about the reproductive organs of Lightning McQueen.
Alright, now let's take a look under the hood. Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the Cachat. I am Lucas Southworth.
And I am Confucian. Okay.
I didn't tell John I was going to do that.
You were prepared. That was powerful. I'm John. Welcome to the Cachat.
Oh, it's the only podcast brave enough to ask the question, hey, what's up with cars?
That was good. That was real good.
Thank you.
I considered
I was excited about it.
I didn't have the strength. To do that, but okay. I'm glad one of us did. So what's this episode about, Lucas?
John, I'm glad you asked. We always seem to ask each other. No, we never just come out and say this episode is about this. We ask each other. But anyway, this episode is about sports and athletics within the Carsverse. I've started calling it the Carsverse because I always type out Cars Universe in like the episode descriptions, and that's too long. So it's the Carsverse now.
All right. I like a suggestion from Jonathan Hall. His suggestion,
shout out,
was the MCU. It's the multi-cars universe because they got planes, you see.
That's also pretty good, John. I'm probably going to call it the Carsverse because, like, you can figure out what that is from context clues and not confuse people who haven't listened to our show before.
But if we call it the MCU, it's not like that's taken or anything.
Yeah, sure.
So sports!
Anyway, we're going to talk about sports. I will say, in this dynamic John and I have that we're going in talking about sports, John will take the role of more of a color commentator this episode.
I don't know much about sports.
Yeah, that's sort of the thing I'm working my way around to.
I used to play sports, but not well, and only really one sport.
You used to play sport.
I used to play sport.
As it were.
American football.
Anyway, yeah. It's not great that I'm the one of the two of us who knows more about sports. Because, like, I don't know a lot about sports. I just know more than John.
Do you want to know what I do know about sports?
More than anything.
I know a very not fun fact. All right, so for a very not fun fact today, ligament tears can be caused by sudden twisting motion. How would you say that cars work? How do tires work?
Well, John, if either of us knows how tires work, it would be you. But they do turn. I would say... What are you getting at?
Sudden twisting motions is kind of like their whole thing. So,
yeah?
That ACL injury gotta be extremely common in cars, right?
Yeah, and let me get this straight. Your not very fun fact for today was just...
Ligament tears can be caused by a sudden twisting motion, which is like...
Okay, cool.
The whole thing with cars.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. It's a good not very fun fact.
Even better, it's followed by, like, the ambulance sound in the background.
Ooh.
Also, the source is Mayo Clinic and others, I guess. Thank you, Google.
Yeah. Doctors could be the source, but...
I'm gonna be real.
A specific one.
I'm gonna give a peek behind the curtain and, like, explain how I find some of these facts. And I just looked up ACL tear because I figured that's not fun. And then I see ligament tears can be caused by sudden twisting motion. And I'm just like, that's Car's whole thing.
So, again, a recap. John Googles something that isn't fun and clicks the top Google result.
I didn't even click. It's just on the first page of Google.
Oh, it was one of those little preview answer things?
Like, anything medical, I think it does that for. But, like, Boy, howdy.
Well, nice. Good, bad fact. Good, bad fact.
Thank you. All right, so sports. Tell us about
Yeah.
sports, Lucas.
Well, John, when a team and another team want to prove who's better, they do a sport. Specifically in the Carsverse. I'm just not going to call it the MCU. That's too confusing. You can call it that.
Why is it
if you want.
confusing, Lucas? What's confusing about it? Multi-Cars universe.
Obvious things. But yeah, specifically in the Carsverse, as I was saying, the sport is racing. Of course, we see Lightning do it, obviously, and it just is to the point of cultural obsession, like to a degree that we don't see to any one specific sport. I would say in our universe,
Yeah.
you know, it is like all of the obsession of all of the sports rolled into one direct obsession with racing in the Carsverse.
I mean, it's all about cars go fast, which is like the thing cars do.
Yeah, that is. It's definitely, the easiest sport they could make the cars do is the sport cars already do. So I get it, you know?
All right. So racing is super important in this universe for, like, I guess obvious reasons?
Yeah, I would say they're, like, pretty cut and dry. So, like, what would you say that makes Lightning McQueen, you know? If he is, like, at the peak of this thing that they center what seems like their whole culture around, what does that make, like, the star of it all, you know?
Like God King?
You know? Kinda.
Because here's the thing. It's not just a sport. It's the sport. It's like how actually, like, if you look at the top 10 paid athletes, top 10 paid athletes, several of them are footballers. By footballers, I don't mean American. They play soccer. And, like, that's because it's an extremely popular sport pretty much everywhere else. So, like, what if there were a sport like that, but much more? And the thing is, not only is it even the sport, it's like the center of their being, and every single person knows who this guy is. He's somehow more famous than, like, the president or God King, I guess. He's the most famous. He's the most celebrity.
But I mean,
He's like Usain Bolt mixed with Michael Phelps mixed with Brett Favre, because older.
okay, I was wondering why you did good old Brett.
Because, like,
But
he's also an old guy, I guess. Even though
no, I
Brett
got
Favre's
it.
not that old.
But, like, you'd think Lightning would be this all-known figure, like everyone knows who Lightning McQueen is. But, like,
I'm pretty
in
sure the only
Radiator
person
Springs,
who hasn't known who he is has been Mater.
I mean, most of the citizens of Radiator Springs have no idea who he is when he shows up. You know, he tells them, like, "I'm a famous racer," and they, like, believe him. But they're like, "Okay, sure." And then I'm thinking
I
of,
always
of
just
a
thought
scene.
it was because they didn't care.
No, because, like, I'm thinking of specifically Luigi and Guido. He's like, "Oh, I'm a racer," and he's like, "Oh, what kind of races do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, no, I don't do the whatever the European style of racing is.
Formula One.
Yeah, Formula One." And he's like, "Oh, okay." So clearly, Luigi has no clue who he is, and I don't think any of them do. And even
you just brought up a very big point. There's different kinds of racing.
yeah,
They go all around the world, and for the most part, like, it's racing, but only in Europe was Formula One a big deal, which is especially weird considering how in America it was, like, basically NASCAR, and in every other place it was just a place in the city. It was like drag racing, which is so weird.
yeah. I mean, a lot of the foreign cars are like Formula One cars, but, like, there's a good mix of the NASCAR style cars in there as well from other countries. So I don't know. I don't know exactly why NASCAR has permeated the world the way it has in the Carsverse.
Yeah, that's weird.
But I will say, going back to the point I was making earlier, there is one little bit in the first Cars movie, where two like normal citizens come in. Their names are Minnie and Van, which is a very good joke. But they're like tourists who have gotten lost, and they have somehow wandered into Radiator Springs. And Lightning goes up to them, and he's like, "Please, please help me. They've taken me hostage, basically. I'm Lightning McQueen, and these people are trying to keep me here against my will." And they like in no way believe him. They just are like, "Oh, okay, man," and then they keep driving. So they don't know who Lightning McQueen is, or at least they don't recognize him.
Maybe it's just a "you're not Lightning McQueen" kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess it would be easier for like mega fans of Lightning to, I don't know, change their appearance to look like him.
Yeah, you can change your whole body. So there are some like weird vehicles that are designed specifically for extremely like short, extremely fast drives. What do you think those people are in this universe? Because there are basically just rocket cars.
I mean, I imagine there are probably like drag races in this universe.
Lucas, what if the Batmobile is just Batman?
Now that's something I could get into, John. Finally, we've made a good point, and we're only like 15 minutes into the episode.
Okay, so Batman, like, there's a different Batmobile for every era, so like it could just be the same. They're just a bunch of different Batmobiles, and like the Christopher Nolan Batmobile is just the Christopher Nolan Batman in this universe, and he's really edgy and dark and like armored.
I love it.
Oh boy.
I think just directly that's correct. The Invisible Jet could be Wonder Woman.
Yeah, but also I just realized that the Christopher Nolan Batmobile can become a motorcycle.
Oh no. Maybe he has a motorcycle that lives in him and it's Robin and he shoots it out.
Oh no. Oh. Ugh. It's so good. What if Lucas, what if Superman's just a plane? He can catch himself.
I think he would.
It's a bird. It's a plane.
You're right.
It really is a plane. It's Superman.
No, look, it's a plane. While I do love
Wait a minute.
It's a
if
bird.
If birds are also planes, it'd be a plane. It's a plane. No, it's a plane. No, it's super plane.
Yeah.
The only thing they're debating on is whether it's a very, very small plane or a very big, very super-powered plane. Oh no, Superman would definitely be a spaceship rocket.
Yeah, it was. That's what I was trying to say. He would be his pod that he landed in from Krypton.
Yeah.
But very good, very good flavor. I think it would still be funny to watching them say it's a plane and to be referring to like a person.
It's a plane. It's a plane. It's a plane.
Yeah, that's a plane. They're everywhere. They're people. Yep. Which is one thing I want to mention real quick. Racing is so universal that it's the plot of the first Planes movie, to my knowledge, is that Dusty Crophopper just wants to be a plane racer. And that's huge, apparently. But I always did think it was weird that they were like, all right, we want to do a spin-off of Cars. And we're going to do it with planes, which are these vastly different creatures, you know. There's so much we could explore in the world of the sky with these sky beasts. But, you know, actually, let's just do another race.
You know what worked really well? Cars. What if we did that again?
But this time, sky
cars. But this time, he's the underdog to begin with.
There you go. Also, real quick side note.
They did that again for 3.
Yeah. But real quick side note is Liz was trying to remember the name of Dusty Crophopper the other day. And she said, oh, you know, the protagonist from Planes, Rusty Sledgehammer?
She turned a character's name into a murder weapon.
Yeah. And I promised her that I would put that on the podcast, much to her displeasure. So there you go, Liz. You're welcome, I guess.
Rusty Sledgehammer.
Yeah, that got me pretty good.
Oh boy. Okay.
Have we talked about sports at all? We talked about Batman for longer than we've talked about sports.
All right, so racing's the sport. It's in every movie except maybe that one that neither of us have seen.
Yeah.
So the most comparable thing in our world is just like track, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say.
Like you could say marathons and whatnot for the different forms of racing, like an Ironman challenge if you have to like specifically be a boat at some point, and
You know,
also a motorcycle like Batman and Robin.
there we go. You got there.
So I guess it's track, but like again, it's like the sport.
Which track very much is not in our universe, as I'm sure you, our loyal listeners, know.
Some people really like track, and I get that, but like it's really boring. Look at the people; they go fast.
I mean, you could very much say that exact thing about racing, about car racing.
Lucas,
People do say that exact things about racing.
have I ever done my impression of a NASCAR fan to you?
I don't think so. And I definitely don't think you've done it for our lovely listeners, so I'd love to hear it.
It's really dumb. It's just it's man, this is gonna be so underwhelming.
That's what I'm hoping.
He's making a left turn. He's making another left turn. He's making another left turn. That's it. Because that's what the sport is. You just go in a circle. It's really boring.
Groundbreaking observational humor here at the Kachat.
I probably stole that from some comedian. I don't know. It would have been a long time ago that I heard it.
If I'd have to guess, yeah, you probably did. But that's okay.
Yeah. But like seriously, it's a sport in I guess name alone. It's people risking their lives, which is terrifying, but like also it doesn't show much more than reaction time. And you could just like play video games to show reaction time. So like
But I mean,
why would people want to risk their lives doing this thing?
I can't tell you why they want to do it in our world, but maybe that's actually why racing is so popular in the Carsverse, is that it combines the like the physical test of track and field with like the high stakes, high speed excitement of racing. You
It
know?
shows actual athleticism in the Cars universe.
Yeah.
Like it's specifically your body, even if it's like a suit of armor. It's still like they have to do something to make it move that is physical, because why else would they describe it as muscles and stuff?
Yeah, but I think that's, really directly probably why. Other than the fact that they're all cars, So, like, again, what other sports could they do? Which we'll get into later. We'll have some fun with that. But
Time for a fun fact.
yes.
All right, so one of the most famous events in NASCAR history is referred to as the fight. It was the first completely aired on television race of the Daytona 500, I believe. And this event actually is like the reason NASCAR became as well known as it did, or at least it was the first time. And what happened was two people were getting real close. They ended up locking their cars together and crashing. They were perfectly fine, but then they both get out of their cars and just start like a fist fight.
What a weird sport to have a brawl in.
Yeah, they get out of their cars and punch each other. And apparently it was in 1979, and it's arguably the most important race in NASCAR history, according to BleacherReport.com.
Nice. I'm going to say conspiracy theory. They staged that fight because they knew it was going to be the first televised race. And they're like, we need to give them something to talk about. Like the song, let's give them something to talk about. Like that. They gave them something to talk about.
My retort would be, they would have had to have known that when they crashed their cars into each other, that they were gonna be fine, which is a really high stakes gamble for, hey, let's be famous.
Hey man, it's worth the risk. It's not, obviously.
It's not.
Obviously it's not.
All right, so that's my fun fact of the day. All right, so let's talk about sports.
I would love it.
All right, so NASCAR track racing is super important. We talked about two of our discussion points. There's not much that I know how to say. So, what about contact sports?
What about The wiki quote of the day, or I don't know, probably a better title than that.
I am really craving a wiki quote of the day, or I don't know, a better title than that probably.
Well, good, because I have a wiki quote of the day, or probably a better title than that, I don't know. It is on the site https. They got that secure connection. https colon slash slash pixarcars.fandom.com/wiki/racing sports network. And I will clarify, we've had some wiki quotes of the day in the past that have been from pixar.fandom.com. This is a separate wiki that's pixarcars.fandom.com,
Oh boy.
which in of itself I think is very good. But we are, of course, on the Racing Sports Network wiki page, which is the broadcaster of apparently both the Cars races and the Planes races. So that's fun. But on this wiki page, under the heading Cars, which I assume refers to the first movie, but is very confusing in anywhere it's written.
Yeah.
But let's see. In Cars, Daryl Cartrip and Bob Cutlass did the race broadcasting. And then they sort of break down the roles in it. Daryl Cartrip brings humor and personality. Both of those words are capitalized. Humor and personality to the race. And his famous catchphrase, boogity boogity boogity, let's go racing, boys.
What?
While Bob Cutlass...
Boogity boogity boogity, let's go racing, boys.
That is apparently the catchphrase of Daryl Cartrip, which is like the highlight for me. But it goes on to say, while Bob Cutlass does the facts and calms Daryl Cartrip down. So Bob's job is to say, whoa, Daryl, you need to take a step away from the mic for a second. People don't know what you're talking about when you say boogity boogity boogity, let's go racing, boys. Which I think that's a really important position Bob Cutlass fills.
I mean, sure, but also boogity boogity boogity, let's go racing, boys.
You got a pretty good point there, Johnny. I really like this segment. I'm glad we added it.
So not to distract about sports yet again, after we've gone through our very not fun fact, our fun fact, a quote from Liz rather than a question from Liz, but we probably have a question from Liz later, and also the wiki quote of the day or some other title that might actually be better than that one. So I'm really sad because I noticed that in the last episode of Mabim Bam, apparently we're too late, Lucas.
Why is
we're
that?
too late. Okay, so
because the person got on to they got to be a guest by campaigning to be a guest.
Yeah. So my campaigns, have we even released the episode where I campaigned a little bit for that?
Gosh, I don't know. I feel like it may have been the Toy Story episode, so maybe, but I couldn't tell you.
Well, even still, the person they had on campaigned better, campaigned harder. The better person won, and I'm sad about it because now the door has been burned down and no one else except for that guest can enter.
To be fair to them, they're also like an established person.
Yeah. Whereas we're the Kachat.
Yeah, that sums it up better than I could have gone on to do. Yeah.
So sports.
We will talk about them.
Boogity boogity boogity, let's get racing, Lucas.
Absolutely.
Contact sports.
Yep, contact sports.
Or if you're a big fan of American football, you might say, collision sport, which has a whole new meaning when it's specifically the Cars universe. Because, cars colliding is very, very bad.
I have never in my life heard the term collision sport. Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's, okay, so, a lot of American football lovers do this dumb thing where they're like, dancing? That's a contact sport. You come into contact. Football isn't a contact sport. It's a collision sport. Because it's supposed to be much more manly and powerful. It is so dumb. I mean, I guess it's also accurate because, you hit each other and you collide intentionally, but, Well, one person intentionally, the other person's trying not to get hit. But still, like, you don't need to point that out. That's silly.
That is very silly.
But if it's cars,
That's a pretty accurate term
if it's cars
for
though,
cars.
yeah, I'm pretty sure racing in the Cars universe is a collision sport because so many people collide and get hurt.
Yeah,
A metric ton of people got into a pileup in the third movie, and then like a bunch of ambulances rush there. Like, so many people collide and get hurt in this sport
I mean,
where you're not supposed to touch people.
yeah, I mean, even our best boy Lightning McQueen, you know, that's the whole plot of Cars 3 is that he gets real messed up doing this. Like, real messed up.
Yep, real messed up, just like his coach.
Yeah, I wonder if there's. This is gonna bring us down a little bit. I wonder if there's any sort of like scandal within the Cars universe, like there has been for football recently with the CTEs. What are they called? What's the like the head injuries that have been a big deal?
Concussions?
Yeah, yeah. There's some very official term, but the concussions and
Yeah,
head injuries.
concussive traumatic something.
Yeah, how they
But yeah,
cause lasting impacts.
I would imagine, and like yeah, we almost talked about that in another episode. But yeah, just collisions from football in which you're wearing safety equipment and like it's supposed to be safe and all that jazz, wearing helmets, that causes lasting damage to your mind that cause a lot of people to have major bouts of depression that cause lots of problems in their life. And that's if it's just the depression, it still kills people. Like, just the collisions kill people often in this universe, right?
I mean, I gotta assume they do, and we have asserted, and I think we're correct, is that one of the reasons Doc died fairly young is because of his big crash. So I assume that's
Yeah.
also happening. Is their lifespans are being shortened by doing this
Yeah.
this little race and stuff they do.
And like two of the coolest moments in the entire history of the sport have been people nearly hitting people. Like when Cruz does a flip over what's his face?
Jackson Storm.
Thunder McChuck. Yep.
No, no. Wait. Say what you were gonna say.
Thunder McChuck butt.
Fantastic. Continue with your point.
All right. So, like when she does that flip, or when Doc did a flip, or like every time they like go right on the outside and drift, just nearly scraping other cars. It's praised and lauded because it's really cool, but also like they're really risking their own and the other person's life. That's not chill. In Cruz's case, it was more of a her life was in danger because
I'm not giving it to
Thunder
you again.
Jackson McThunderbutt.
Yep, that was it. You got it.
When he was like threatening her life, so like that, her jumping over him was only for her safety. But like several times, the cool thing to do is to get really close to hitting someone, but not. That's ridiculous.
I mean, in the
Oh.
first movie, there's a moment where there's a huge pileup in front of Lightning, and he has to like get through it. And he does this by there's a car who's been upended, who is on his who is upside down, and is
Does he
shaped
jump
a
on this
bit like
kid's
a
body?
ramp.
Oh
Yes,
no.
he doesn't like ramp. He physically makes himself jump, which is weird that he can jump, but that's neither here nor there. He jumps, lands on the car, like his exposed underbelly, and then uses somehow this makes him jump good because he jumps on the car and then jumps again off. I don't know exactly how that works, but it's the really famous moment, the slow mo where he like sticks his tongue out and like winks at Mia and Tia in the crowd. But like, yeah, he jumped on a guy going hundreds of miles an hour, presumably.
So Lucas, I want you to just imagine any sport. Imagine there are players, and then one of them is this really famous cocky guy, and then someone falls down in front of him, blocking his way. And he just jumps onto the guy's body, and then jumps off, sticks his tongue out, and then winks at some underage girls.
And the crowd loves it.
He goes to jail, right? Like, please go to jail? I hope so.
If he doesn't go to jail, then at the very least he will face the court of American judgment, you know? Public opinion, that's what I was going for.
Because, like, that would probably kill a dude.
Yeah,
and also,
like,
gross underage girls.
Yeah, and like, it's not just that the guy fell down. The guy's probably hurt.
Yeah,
like,
he's probably
you gotta assume
seriously messed up. You didn't jump on a guy who fell. You jumped on a guy who was like an offensive or defensive lineman who is underneath the other team and probably has like a broken arm or leg in the very least and is overturned, and you just jump right on his belly, on his soft spot.
Yeah, just basically what you've done is you've kicked a man in the stomach really hard.
All right. Imagine the quarterback gets the ball, hands it off to the running back, then just runs through the line. One of his own teammates, or maybe the other team if you want to consider that, falls down because of what is probably like a very bad injury. And the running back just jumps on that soft spot. That's what this is. That is what this is.
Directly.
Those cleats just stabbing straight into this guy's belly. This man's dead.
Didn't even think about the cleats, Johnny.
I mean, here's the thing. We're comparing cleats and a 200-pound man on top of like a 200 to 300-pound man and his soft spot to a 2,000-pound vehicle onto another 2,000-pound vehicle.
Yeah. I don't see how that... Like, there are lots of things we could get into and have gotten into that are like, how did the physics of this work? But like, how did Lightning not just like hurt himself doing that?
Yeah, so I'm sure you have some experience or knowledge of this, but like, cars are designed to have impact and crumple zones. They're designed...
Yeah, they crumple.
Yeah, to not be like the steel death machines where your car is perfectly fine, but you took all of the force, so you're dead. They're designed to take the impact and crumple. I think race cars are probably designed a little bit differently, but even still, I imagine this would just cave in both of their bodies. Completely.
At the very least, definitely the one who was lying on his... There's a word for it, I bet, but... Chassis? Is that it? Is that what a chassis is? We've had this conversation. Whatever. It'd kill him. That's where the squishy bit is. He'd crush metal into it. He'd die. I'm mad about it.
He just curb stomped the squishy bit. Oh, man, it's so... Man. And that's not even a contact sport. That's just the race. They have demolition derbies. Remember when that guy gets hit and it fixes his spine, and then he gets hit immediately after? He's like, I can walk again! And then he just gets hit again, and it breaks his back in the other direction.
I sure do, Johnny.
That's his everyday. That is his job. That's how he makes money, I guess. Just cage fighting with cars much bigger than him without severe spinal injuries. And then he's just the happiest guy in the world when someone breaks his back in a way that helps him walk for like a few seconds. He's so happy, and then it's taken from him immediately. And we're supposed to laugh at that. That is a man being broken after getting some amount of hope after what I can only assume is years of pain. And that's a joke to these guys.
This is the most worked up I've heard you about something that didn't involve hands. And I love it. They sure do demolition derbies, huh?
Yep. Okay, so the school bus.
I don't think it's fair that the school bus gets to be in this competition with all these other like normal sized cars.
I can't, like, I can only assume that this weird demolition derby is an illegal fighting ring.
Yeah?
Like, it has to be, right? Because that's just people killing each other. Interesting little tidbit. In demolition derbies, a big goal is to not hit someone with the front of your car and to make sure no one hits the front of your car. Like, that's a big thing. Because that's where that's where the engine and all the stuff that make it go do. So, like, in a demolition derby, you want to think, oh, it's people just crashing head into. No, like the whole goal is don't let something hit your front. So really, it's just trying to sideswipe each other, or like back into people fast. It's super weird.
I'm not sure it's an event I would want to be a part of. As a matter of fact, I am sure it's not an event I would want to be part of.
Also, I think they're like speed limits, to protect the people inside.
And no one can have a stop sign that's been carved into a buzzsaw.
And also, if you're in a demolition derby, I don't know if this is true, but I have to assume that if you got a regular car and a bunch of other regular cars, someone doesn't get to just use a bus. Because that would kill everyone.
Can you imagine how mad you'd be if you signed up for the demolition derby in like a normal car and this guy drives up in a bus and you're like, well, if I had known I could do that.
And then someone else shows up in like a tank. That's a tank! That's meant for fighting! You can't do that! It doesn't say you can't do that in the rules. Air Bud style.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. There's nothing in the rules that say a dog can't participate in the demolition derby. They're very...
Oh no, Lucas.
Yeah, we didn't think we'd have to specify that.
Also, like, overheating in demolition derbies, big deal, because, like, another thing, you hit the front. Oh look, I've caused the coolant to leak. Now your car is just melting its own engine. Which is what happened to my first car. I melted the engine because I just didn't know I ran out of coolant. Man, that was a beautiful car. That Sunfire.
Rest in peace, Sunfire.
I named her Ruby because she was red and I'm not clever.
Yeah. Was the coolant why my dad had to like come bail you and Lizzie out that one time? Like we just passed you on the road that one time?
That time your dad pulled over as I had just finished pushing my car out of the road. Yeah.
Yes.
He gave us a ride, which was real nice.
We were on the way to like a high school play, weren't we? Like we were about to go perform in the play. Am I making that up?
I think that's right. It might have been, I think it was probably during summer, and it might have been Sound of Music.
Georgetown Community. That sounds right.
Sound of Music or all
that would
have been, I would guess.
Sound of Music was in between sophomore and junior year, I want to say.
Okay.
No, freshman and sophomore? It doesn't matter.
I think it was Oliver then, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right to me too.
So, demolition derbies. Illegal fight clubs.
Yeah, I think... I'm actually going to disagree on that. I think demolition derbies are completely legal fight clubs.
Okay, but like... Is that just what that is?
Completely legal blood sports.
Because... Is that the extent of collision sports? Because let's talk about this. How are they going to do football when they ain't got no hands?
I thought of that point earlier.
They can't...
I thought I'd leave it for you because I knew you'd get there.
Okay, so there's a game. It's called Rocket League?
Football.
Rocket League.
Yes.
And it's soccer and basketball, but cars.
Yeah.
Kind of. And I get it. I get like that kind of nonsense. But football? It's baseball. What do? Does a machine that is a person just like launch a ball at you and then you have to like hit it with your face? Or is it only for school buses and like you have to pop your stop sign out at the right time to hit that ball?
That would be very fun. And I
I
mean,
want to see this sport now.
that would be a very good spectacle.
And
Uh,
specifically
but
only trucks or catchers because they got to catch it in the truck bed.
very
I
good.
like this baseball.
But
But still, football.
as always with our what if the hands, that could be at least partially solved with the forklifts. But like,
How?
are they the only ones?
How the forklift's gonna? How are they gonna throw the ball? Do they just?
John, how did the forklift play a steel guitar? We don't know. We don't have all the answers.
Lucas, how does a forklift play a steel guitar?
We don't know, but he did it. Very proficiently, as far as, I mean, I'm no expert in steel guitars, but it sounded pretty good to me.
Oh boy.
I mean, they can, like, angle them inwards to hold things, so maybe they just do that.
All right. I think we've covered blood sport a little bit. Let's talk about something else that has something to do with the blood sport, but also everything else. That's like athletic physicality. You mentioned
Yes.
the whole, but I don't think a bus should be in this derby because that's just not fair. So like there exist different divisions and different sports and it's all like based on body types and all that jazz. Like a gymnast is
Wait, stop. It's time for a question from Liz.
okay.
Uh,
What's the question from Liz?
well, John, her question is, are there different leagues? So we have, like, in our world, we have college sports, then people will go pro, and most post college sports will have different leagues based on your skills. Uh, and as an addendum to that, what about splitting gender, how we do, like the WNBA
Yep.
and the NBA?
That's yeah. There's the NBA, there's the WNBA, and
Are you throwing cans? What are you doing?
you really want to know?
Yes, sure.
I'm squeezing a can with my toes.
Stop it. I can hear it, and so can they.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Okay, so if we're talking differences in physicality, it's not the whether you're a man or a woman in this universe. It's just what kind of vehicle are you, which is nice
But I mean,
and
that
progressive.
does exist a little bit, at least, because we've got Cruz had uh some stereotyping, that prejudiced against her going into the race, and we've got, of course, Louise Barnstormer Nash, who
Yep.
has said that she broke barriers by becoming a racer.
Yeah, but like that's just a kind of car. What's it
Yeah.
like? I have not noticed this, and I should probably like check up on this. But like, are there specifically types of cars that are only men or women in the Carsverse?
Oh, geez, man, that's its own episode.
Like,
Uh,
are only women allowed to be coupes? Because like his girlfriend's a coupe. I don't. I don't know. Have we seen any men coupes?
John, I'm gonna be real with you right now. I'm not entirely sure what a coupe is.
COUPE. It's also a. It's like I think Google says coupe, but it's a car that only has two doors essentially. It's got like a.
Got it. Okay.
It's kind of smaller. It's more sporty. My Sunfire, I'm pretty sure, was a coupe. I've got a coupe now that's.
I doubt that that's the case. That like only women cars are coupes. But I mean, I couldn't tell you that that's wrong. Clearly, since I didn't know what a coupe was 8 seconds ago.
But okay, so like, are there differences? Because I don't think there are. But then again, like, there are differences in size based on age. So I guess type of car doesn't matter. It's just like size. But like, I don't know. I don't get it. Then again, like, if size were a big deal, then it would be like engine size and all that jazz. And even though she's a smaller car, she's able to go about 200 miles per hour just like any of the other race cars. So like, her specs have got to be pretty similar. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But like, you mentioned the bus in the Derby, and like, that's my issue. They're just different
definitely.
kinds of vehicles. Like, what if a jet wanted to race a car? What if a jet just wanted to be in one of the like NASCAR races, like does he have to touch the ground the entire time? Because the cars don't have to do that. They can jump on other cars and do flips in the air and all that jazz. So like, I don't know.
I bet it would be an interesting conversation between the Jet and whoever is organizing the race of him saying, "Well, I want to be in the race," and them saying, "Well, you can't," and him saying, "Well, why not?" And them
And then
struggling to be like,
the
"Well,
guy struggling to not
we
be racist because that's what he would be.
yes.
He'd be excluding an entire group of people based on external things out of their control. Man,
Huh. What would happen if a Jet was like, I want to be in the race?" That's a very good point, Johnny.
they'll be like, nah, you got this other race for planes. And like, I want to do the car race. It's like, but you're not a car. It's like, so what? And then
Yeah.
what can you say to that isn't just racist?
Yeah. What can you say other than, well, you got me there. Welcome to the race, Marco the Jet Fighter, who is an actual character.
Like, that's the big problem with Planes the movie, is that he wants to be a racer, but he's not like the other racing planes. Why doesn't he just join the car race? Why doesn't he just race Lightning McQueen and beat him in every race that isn't like the circle? Because all he has to do is fly over the buildings. Like, he goes to Tokyo, they're doing that weird drag race. He just flies over all the buildings, going much faster. He wins, right?
Yeah, and do you think even in like the Piston Cup style races, he could just do like a very, very tight spiral and just cross over where the finish line is a bunch of times? Like he doesn't need to go the full lap.
And like for
He,
anyone who's going to argue that you do have to go the full lap, Lightning doesn't. He goes in the dirt several times. He cuts corners.
yeah,
Even Cruz, she does a backflip. She goes into the air. I think she's traveling more distance, but she's still allowed to do that. Poop, she even comes into the race halfway through.
yeah. Clearly, this is not a universe in which they're like rules sticklers, you know?
I don't understand any of this. Okay, so like a plane just starts doing really tight, fast circles crossing that line. Why don't cars just do that? They just start like drifting in circles over and over again. They're just doing donuts. How do they not win?
I mean, there has to be some rule against that, but like,
I don't know. There's not a rule against switching people out in the middle of the race.
yeah, that's what we're stuck on, huh?
Oh man, these sports are dumb. Ugh.
Truly.
Okay, so a bus can be in a contact sport and just hit really small cars and just destroy them because it's, I don't know, 4 times the size of these tiny little cars. Imagine little Luigi getting hit by a bus. What's he gonna do? A semi truck. Mac is just like, I wanna fight. Let's wrestle. And then Luigi's like, okay, let's do this. And then he just crushes him because Mac is so much bigger. What the heck? That's like there are weight classes in the real world, but like how do you have a weight class when there are such massive disparities? And for some reason, in this blood sport that is for some reason allowed, you can have Lightning McQueen, regular race car, fight a bus.
And I mean, we can't even say that no, they wouldn't let him do it because that you're right, that's the plot of Planes.
Yep.
Is that they don't restrict what type of vehicle you have to be.
You're a crop duster, but I guess you can be a racing plane. So, Lucas.
Yes.
Right, Berserk mode. Bruce Lee in his prime versus the Mountain in his prime. Do you know who the Mountain is?
Is he from Game of Thrones?
Yes. The Mountain actor. World's strongest man several times over winner. That I gotta stop moving my feet. Alright, world's strongest man in certain things. I think his name's Hafthor Bjornsson or something like that. And he's like, I don't know, 6'8", 300 pounds of pure diesel muscle. Him fighting like 145-pound Bruce Lee. I know there are going to be people out there who say, oh, Bruce Lee can win because he's so much more skilled and he's an actual fighter. But like, I feel like it's gotta be Hafthor.
See, I'm one of those people who would go Bruce.
The man
I don't.
The man's legs, I think, each probably weigh more than Bruce Lee. I'm exaggerating, but still, his name's Half Thor, and like I'd believe that he's half the strength of actual Thor, because this man is just so big.
But I've heard it said that the bigger they are, they fall harder. So
Okay, but I'm gonna say this right now. I feel like in a fight with Bruce Lee, I might be able to win if I'm given a baseball bat and he has nothing. But if I were to
I
fight,
fully disagree.
I said might.
I think Bruce Lee would kick your man.
9 times out of 10, even with the baseball bat, yeah. But I think I've got a chance. I don't think I have a chance, even if I have a baseball bat, against Athor. I think I swing that baseball bat as hard as I can. If I don't hit him in the head, I die.
So if you hit him in the head, you don't die. So there is a
Because he's
chance.
6'8".
Baseball bats are, I don't know, 1.5 feet long.
How on earth am I gonna?
You're 5'10". Do some
I
math.
have to have a head start, and like if I have a head start, I could. I'm still much more confident that I beat Bruce Lee if I have head start with baseball bat than the other guy. I feel like if I hit this guy as hard as I can with a baseball bat in the head, there's a small chance he'll still live. Have you seen the man?
I don't know, man. I don't think you could hit Bruce Lee with a baseball bat.
That is a very good point, and probably true. There's a very strong chance that I could not hit him with a baseball bat.
Like the plot of most, at least Jackie Chan movies, who I know is a different person.
Now, I could beat Jackie
is
Chan
that-
with a baseball bat. The reason I say this is because, like, a big thing about Jackie Chan's movies is that he takes a lot of hits. And if he takes a lot of baseball hits,
Yeah.
he's getting hurt.
But another big thing about Jackie Chan movies is he, A, improvises weapons, and B, goes against people who have weapons and he does not. And let me tell you, he comes out on top.
Yeah. I still gotta give it to the Mountain, though. I think the Mountain would probably still win that fight. And that is completely acknowledging
I don't
that
think he could.
the man probably doesn't fight, like, at all. And he's probably slow as a slug, but still.
Yeah, I just don't think he could get a hit on Bruce Lee. I think Bruce Lee would dodge and then punch him 800 times in his head.
See, that's the thing. I don't think the punches are gonna hurt him. I think, like, Bruce Lee has to specifically be aiming cheap shots for, like Sherlock Holmes. I'm punching him in the eardrums and the nose and the eyes, or the guy's just gonna soak the damage and be fine.
I fully believe that Bruce Lee, you said berserk mode, and I'm holding you to that, would take those cheap shots and know how to do them effectively.
I don't know if he's gonna be able to reach. There's like a full foot of height difference, and like, yes, I know,
John, we've now talked about this for like 7 minutes.
It's our sports episode, and we're talking about a blood sport.
Imagine we're talking about cars.
We are in a way. Bruce Lee car versus a semi truck, or like
now that I think the semi truck.
I mean, of course, just because Bruce Lee car, what's he gonna do? Like, how much martial art can a car actually have?
Yeah, he would sustain too much damage in damaging the semi truck, as we discussed with the demolition derby.
Yeah. Okay, so we brought it back around to cars. We can keep it.
Yeah. We're working through our discussion points. Contact sports, athletes, physicality, the Mountain versus Bruce Lee.
All right. So a giant submarine wants to be in a plane race. What do we say about that?
I'm more interested because theoretically the planes could race over water.
Blood sport, though.
I'm more interested.
All right,
Okay.
so some submarines have nuclear warheads. What do we say about that? They're in a demolition derby.
Again.
They just nuke the other guys.
Yeah, I think they might, Johnny. I think they would probably win that one.
Okay. Want to talk about cheating? Let's talk about controversy in sports.
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's move on to the final bit that I got written down. So, like, NOS is a thing. There's an energy drink based on the idea of putting an extra jumping fuel booster in your car, make it go fast. It's how Turbo got his superpowers.
We'll get there.
So like, what if that were in the NASCAR race? Someone just puts NOS in the car. That's cheating, right?
Yes.
That's a cheat.
That's I think the most direct steroids metaphor they could do.
All right, but also let's talk about steroids. What if there are car steroids? You get like body mods, I guess, but like they compare a lot of things to like muscles and whatnot. What if they're just steroids in this universe?
I mean,
you take a shot.
It's implied that
in the bumper, and all of a sudden your headlights get a little bit smaller or more dim, I guess, and
Jesus,
you get much more angry, agitated, and better at going fast.
Yeah, I mean, it is implied that like part of the reason Lightning is having so much trouble beating Jackson is that he's getting older. So there is like a purely physical, biological aspect to this. So maybe they just get it in their squishy bit, you know?
Maybe.
I think that could be direct.
It could. So do you think that Lightning considered juicing?
You know, I think he probably had a really dark moment where he did. In that shed.
He healed really fast.
In Cars 3.
He made a very quick recovery.
I think if he was juicing to get back on top of his form, he would have, started winning the races. Yeah.
I don't know.
I think there was a moment after his crash he probably considered it.
I'm thinking he probably did when he was younger anyway. Before Cars the first, he probably juiced because he was the arrogant, like, I just want to be fast, man. I'll do anything. And Chick Hicks, he juiced.
Oh, Chick did nothing but juice.
Oh.
That's why he's so angry.
It's weird they haven't taken away his trophies because, like, if they had ever tested him, they would know. They would know.
Yeah, I feel like that pretty well covered everything.
So, like, they take steroids and they take NOS. They're the ultimate weapon. The end.
Yeah, they're probably
sports.
Some asterisks.
We did it.
Yeah, that was a sports.
We did the sport.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry for people who actually wanted to hear about, like, real-world sports at all, because I don't know about sports, man.
John, I think the Venn diagram of Kachat fans and sports fans is probably two separate circles, so I think we're all in the clear.
You know, I'm holding out hope that, like, for some reason, we're attracting all the kinds of people. Like, one of every kind. The basketball, the baseball, the track and field, the NASCAR. Hope I didn't offend the NASCAR.
With your biting commentary, your groundbreaking
They're
comedy.
Making a left turn. That's gotta be like Jeff Dunham or something.
If it's not Jeff Dunham, it is at the very least a very common observation about NASCAR and how boring it is.
Yeah, it's just a circle. All right, so our next episode's gonna be planes?
Yeah, if it's episode 15, which I think it is.
You got planes? Is it on Netflix?
I own planes, yeah.
I've seen planes. All right, let's do planes!
Yes. But first, you gotta wait a week. Sorry.
Yep. All right, so remember to like, comment, subscribe, tell every single person you know and love, except for, like, children, because that'd be uncomfortable. This isn't a good podcast for kids.
Yep.
Maybe like edgy teens though.
Oh yeah, we do. I'm sure we do well with the teens, John. I'm sure we.
What if we only do well with the edgy teens?
You know, everyone has to have their niche. But you can follow us on Twitter.
Remember to email us.
Yeah, thekachat@gmail.com.
Say what your favorite thing. Compliment us a lot. Tell all your friends. So remember to float like a Cadillac
and sting like a Beamer.